Camera Raw makes it super easy to actually add vignette and border effects to your images as well. You're going to do that in the Effects panel over here on the right. We'll click on the Effects button. You can see that this image has a lot of grain in it. I had added that grain in a previous example here and just added some grain. So this is already baked into the image. It's been saved as a JPEG. Now we're going to add a vignette effect and a border effect. And we do that with the post-crop vignetting controls. The first slider that you have available is the amount slider. And you can either go to black or to white. So you have a range here. If I go obviously to the left, it's going to darken the corners of that image and kind of frame her in there. And if I drag it to the right, well, then I get a opposite effect. I get a light corners or white corners. A lot of flexibility here, a lot simpler than creating an elliptical selection in Photoshop and choosing the feather command and then deleting to a white background layer and so forth. Here it's just a simple slider and you have a lot of creative control. Let's take it back to white here and just keep it at a pretty high amount. You also have a control of where that midpoint is. The default is right in the middle, but of course I can expand that or narrow it to really focus in where it's getting focused. And then in addition to the midpoint, I actually can control how round or sharp the corners are. I can change the roundness to really extreme to make it more of a circular shape instead of oval, or I can take it all the way back down to the left. You can see I actually can start creating these interesting border effects instead of vignette effects. If I take the midpoint and bring it back in just a little bit, you can see now if I combine that with the feather slider and actually harden the feather, I can actually get really crisp borders and rounded corner effects there as well. So it's beyond just typical vignettes. You actually have a lot of creative freedom here to create some pretty interesting effects. If I want all these same settings, but I now want a black border, let's just take the amount back the other direction. And you can see I got an instant border there with black as well. Maybe soften the feather just a little bit. Bring that in, change the midpoint. Again, you'll actually have a hard time stopping because it's just kind of fun to play with. And you have a lot of creative freedom to actually change this at any point to get just that border or vignette effect that you're looking for to frame your subject matter appropriately.